All right, folks, we are out here on Grand Lake for stop number 4 of the FLW Tour. This one is presented by Mercury. I've got Jay Kendrick with me. Jay, you have never been to Grand Lake before, so I guess tell me what it looks like out there.
You know, Grand is, it reminds me of some of the lakes we fish back home. It's got a lot of pea gravel and rock in it. Hardly any vegetation whatsoever that I could find today. And I guess the word on the street is there's not really any grass in this lake, and what little bit there is.
I can give you that information. It's not a grass lake.
I looked for some today, Jody, back in some of those spots, and I actually did find some, but it's not hydrilla, it's not milfoil, and it's only growing in about 2 or 3 feet of water.
It would have been amazing if you'd found some hydrilla and milfoil out there.
I wonder if I brought some with me and sprigged it out there, if it would have grown by tournament time. But yeah, there's not any grass in here. This is more of a structure lake. You know, there's a lot of humps out there and ledges and a lot of pea gravel points, rock banks. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Lanier, but the watercolor is a lot more off color than Lanier typically is. This lake's got a lot of color to it. It's kind of that Coosa River color, if you ask me. It's kind of clear. It looks chocolatey when you're riding around, but when you drop a bait down, you can actually, I know I went down to the dam today and you could actually see a bait down about 2.5 feet. So it's a little clearer than you think, but.
Okay. What are you seeing for water temperatures? Because I know one of the concerns was, would this lake warm up enough in time for us to actually have a pretty good tournament?
The water temperatures that I saw today were upper 50s, low 60s. Started out this morning upper 50s, and then by this afternoon we've had not a ton of wind and some pretty good sunshine this afternoon. It warmed up 61, 62 degrees in certain areas. But you know, this is a huge lake, and we're right on the cusp of this thing breaking open. I'm sure of it. There's not been a bed to speak of so far this year on this lake that I know of. I think when that water temperature warms on up in you know, the low 60s to mid 60s, it's going to be on fire. And you know, I've heard there's a lot of 3 to 5 pound fish in this lake. It's chock full, so they're out there somewhere. And I'm seeing a lot of fish suspended on my graph today. I mean, you can run down the bank and throw a wart or a spinnerbait or a square bill, and you get a bite here and there, but then you get off the bank and you start idling around and you start seeing all these fish out there in 20 feet of water, and they're not on the bottom. They're just
those
suspended.
are Alabama rig fish.
Yeah, they are. And I saw, you know, there was a tournament, a big 200 boat tournament on the lake today, and I saw probably 10 of those guys during the day today, and every single one of them was throwing an Alabama rig, which, as you know, is off the menu for us. We can't throw an Alabama rig. And I did throw a single swim bait. You know, that's probably my favorite bait to throw, and I threw one a bunch today, and I had some interest in it. I'll just leave it at that. But it's small windows, and you know, it's hard to trigger a bite. You can't just throw the swim bait out there and reel it in. You got to do some things with it and kind of entice those fish to bite.
You didn't happen to catch any paddlefish today, did you?
No, but I caught a giant catfish. I started to take a picture of it. It was this long on a swim bait. Yeah, and I just had what I'm pretty sure was a bass knock slack in the line as I was reeling it in. There was a big school of bait, and it was in 22 feet of water, and the bait was down about 17. And I went across it with the boat and turned around and made a hard cast out the back and reeled it through that bait. And I felt that bait just like I do at Guntersville. I think it was gizzard shad because it was bigger bait. I could feel it bumping my line, and boom, and then it went away, and then I threw back out and caught that giant catfish. So who knows? I don't know. It's going to be fun. I know there's big paddlefish in here, and I wouldn't be opposed to catching one, but no such luck today.
All righty. Obviously, if it's your first time on the lake, it's a pretty good sized lake. It's not, you could probably see it all in one day if you really wanted to. Have you seen the whole lake, or do you still have sections that you feel like you need to go 100% go look at least?
Well, I was most excited this morning about getting down to that lower end because I think that's where the cleanest water was going to be. And you know, being the water temperature where it is right now, the time of the year, the kind of lake it is, I was pretty excited about getting down there early and wheeling that swim bait around for a couple of hours early this morning. And
that is something you would do.
So yes, I've been from the boat ramp where the tournament's going out of here at Fox Creek all the way to the dam today, and I pretty much went straight down there this morning, just a dead run, and I fished my way back this afternoon. Tomorrow I may go up the Neosha or the Elk and do some of that old Coosa River big rod, short line fishing up there, you know, flipping, throwing a spinnerbait and things like that, and that dirtier, more stained water. One thing about that stained water is it's going to warm up faster. This upper end of this lake's going to warm faster than that lower end. It's got more color to it. Yeah, there's some big, shallow, flat bays that warm up quickly, and the lower end is deeper, is a deeper area down there and clearer water, and it won't warm up as fast.
All right. Kind of along those lines, the lake is actually a little bit high. In your mind, is there enough, have you been up close enough to the bank, is there enough to water in the wood, in the bushes, to flip in that now? Or do you think that's something that if it's there now is going away by tournament time? What's your vibe?
You know, Jody, it all depends on what they do with the water between now and then as to whether or not it'll be there come tournament time. Right now, there's some short stretches of willows in the water, wood in the water, that's got enough water on it if the water temperature comes on up another few degrees to hold fish. With that being said, you know, if they bring it up another foot, it could be game on big time up there shallow with a flipping stick or a spinnerbait or a chatterbait throwing around those trees that are in the backs of these pockets. But right now the fish are kind of few and far between for me back there. But I could foresee that happening by the time, you know, we have a pretty lengthy practice, and then we got an off day on Wednesday, and our tournament's actually several days out.
Yeah, there's a lot of time for water to do stuff.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of variables that can change between now and then. So.
All righty. Well, Jay, thanks for coming by, and man, good luck out there.
Thanks, Jody. Appreciate it.
All right, folks, we're out here at Grand Lake for stop number 4 of the FLW Tour. Wild that it's come that quick. This one is presented by Mercury, and I've got Jacob Wall with me. Jacob, you told me just a minute ago that you've never been to Grand Lake before.
Nope.
So how was scouting it out on day 1?
It's an interesting lake, you know. I mean, it sets up more like what I'm used to from back home.
Oregon.
I'm excited to get away from all the grass that we had on the last 3 stops. Out here, I think I pulled up a little bit of slime on a crankbait today, and that was about the only grass I saw all day. So I was happy to be bouncing off a rock and rather than sitting out off of a big grass field.
All right, I like it. Have you seen a lot of the lake or just certain sections so far?
I'm going to primarily focus on a few areas of the lake. I just think it makes it a little easier to kind of figure the fish out if you don't spread yourself so thin going throughout the entire body of water. So I'm gonna target a couple areas pretty heavily, and hopefully it pans out. I can tell you that I like to fish clear water, and there's a lot of dirty water, so I'm hunting for that clear water.
Yeah, I know there's like probably sections of clear water, and I guess it may change depending on rainfall and stuff like that, but from what you've seen, is there enough where a guy could fish in clear water pretty much the whole time, do you think?
I think so, yeah. I think there is. You know, certain sections of the lake have cleaner water in them, but if you stay out on the main river, or main part of the lake and the river, it's pretty dirty for the most part, yeah.
Okay. What are you seeing for water temperatures and stuff like that? Because it's spring and things are changing pretty rapidly.
Well, it kind of varies where you're at, but I noticed as the day progressed, obviously it warmed up, but this morning it was like...
Yeah, it got really nice today.
Yeah, this morning it was probably, I don't know, what, like 49, 50, 51, and then as the day progressed, I found areas where it was like, you know, up to 56, you know, but I don't know if I went that far back in the morning. It might have been back there like 52, 53 in the morning, something like that.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely... I guess there's a lot of time before day 1 of the tournament for this lake to sort of change and progress. I'm sure you either got some bites or got a round of fish or 2, or maybe you didn't, but do you have any vibe on like what the stage of the fish are as far as whether you're feeling it's a kind of a pre-spawn thing or maybe it's more still a winter thing?
I think it's pretty much pre-spawn at this point. You know, I know it was colder, but that was probably 2 weeks ago. I think these fish have kind of started to transition and move up to that pre-spawn kind of pattern. I did get a few bites today. I didn't get anything miraculous. I ended up landing 2 fish today.
Both bass? Or?
Both bass.
Okay, I was just checking, you know, there's a lot of sheepshead out there. Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff in this lake. You got paddlefish, you know, I'm hoping for paddlefish, to be honest.
Yeah, they were both paddlefish. I caught
that's awesome. Were they like 50, 60 inches?
I caught one that was like 65 inches, yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. No, they were both
Bill
bass.
Taylor, we can weigh those in this week.
They're both bass, both largemouth. But yeah, it should be an interesting event. I think if you find them, you could do really good. But I think if you...
Yeah, because usually on this lake, when you catch one, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Like, it's got a lot of quality fish in this lake.
Yeah, I mean, I caught one that was like 3.5, and then the other one was just like a keeper. But, you know, I think that there's a lot of those, you know, 3 to 5 pound fish in this lake from what I could see. You know, just doing my research ahead of time and then getting out here, getting 2 bites and one of them being a good quality fish. You know, I think you have a pretty good odds of hooking into a solid fish.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You've got 2 more days of practice. What's the tentative game plan? Is it to sort of try and refine your areas a little bit or really explore and try and find more clear water? What's the situation?
I'm going to refine my areas. I kind of, you know, excel as an angler when I just settle down into an area and kind of work through it and figure out how I need to approach that area. I struggle when I kind of spread myself thin. You know, I know some guys can go out there and just run and gun a bunch of different water throughout the entire practice. I'll do that on certain fisheries, but I feel like here with the water being the clarity it is for the most part, it's not my comfort zone to just kind of run around in dirty water. Let's say if the whole lake was clear, maybe I'd feel a little more comfortable doing that. But I'm going to probably just settle down into those areas that I've kind of already located and just kind of expand on it and try to see if maybe I can catch them deep or if I can catch them shallower or if I can kind of, you know, figure out where I need to be kind of, you know, focusing most of my time.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad plan too, because you're on a lake that's unfamiliar. So if your fish move, if you say you find fish, you get them dialed in practice, but then they move. If you know your area, you should know where they went.
Yeah.
Or you should be able to figure that out more easily.
Definitely, yeah, I think so. Once you kind of get a feel for what's going on, you know, you can kind of, you know, determine where they're going to move to, or like you said, if you get a cold snap, where they might move off to. I think that that's definitely important to understand what it is you're fishing, and if you're bouncing all over the place, it's a lot harder to understand that. So.
For sure. We are not all Brian Thrift, unfortunately.
No, I'm definitely not. Not yet, at least maybe in 10 years.
All right. Well, man, Jacob, thanks for stopping by, and good luck out there the next few days.
Thanks, Jody.